Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So, what happened this morning? It seemed like things were going quite well. Looked like Bitcoin was about to make another high, but then we dipped down quite significantly. What caused it? And more importantly, why it's a buy? Dips are gifts. So let's talk about it. And let's talk about everything else that's going on today. Happy Friday, by the way. All right, let's do it, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. See, we tend to live in the moment, most of us, right? And we look at something like this and we're like, man, that looks bad. That's a big dip, right? What happened there? But I like to remind you guys, we're still sitting at 109, which was our previous high that we couldn't hit for a long, long time. So, we just gotten used to being above 110 for the last few days. But no worries. Not all have been reset. Not all have been lost. But there are some reasons why we went down today. But look at that. We are recovering quite quickly. So what happened? Well, if you look at the U.S. market today, pretty red, although it's not that red. And it's due to two reasons why it's red today. And there's actually two other reasons why Bitcoin sold off a little bit. Number one, Trump says we need to put a 50% tariff on the EU starting June 1st. Now, why would he say that? Well, he put this on Truth Social, basically saying that the EU was formed for the primary purpose of taking advantage of the US on trade. Right? And basically, trade talks have gone nowhere, and he's frustrated, so he's like, I'm just going to do a 50% tariff on the EU. Right? So that's number one. A lot of people don't like it. So far, the only country that made a deal with the U.S. is the UK, right? And so far, no other deals, although progress has been made with China, but still, seems like things are going to take a while, right? It's not like every country's jumping in to make a deal immediately. But, the EU obviously represents a lot of Europe, and that's a big deal. So that's number one. Number two is Trump has been talking a lot about Apple recently. Does not like the fact that Apple's still not bringing everything in-house in the U.S. Apple did say that they're going to move most of their manufacturing to India. But Trump's still like, no, I don't like that. I want all iPhones to be made in the U.S. So unless you bring manufacturing back here, we're going to slap a 25% tariff. I get why he wants to do it. I get why Apple, one of the biggest companies out there, and of course the producer iPhone, which is used by 50% of the world, should be produced in the US, or there's a ring to it. It sounds good. But logistically, it's a nightmare, next to impossible to bring everything in-house immediately. And even if you did, the cost of an iPhone will probably be 300% higher, not 25% higher. So Tim Cook is more likely than not just go eat the 25% and still save out on that 300%. But, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But because of these two things, seems like market's red today, right? And, it's kind of something that I would argue that Trump also wants at this point, because I mentioned this for many, many days now, that our bond yields were skyrocketing. Okay. It's the worst case scenario for the U.S. U.S. does not want yields to continue higher, although both are like 30-year yields at all, like a 20-year high, 10-year yields nearing a really high of this year, or a year high. So really the only way to bring them down is to crash markets, because Powell is not going to cut rates anytime soon. And these will continue to go up as long as there's no more trade deals happening. And plus, if markets are recovering, which they have been, tech sector has been doing well, crypto has been doing well. I mean, there's a recovery, there's a big recovery. And whenever you have that happen, that doesn't help yields either. That drives rate yields upwards. So, you know, you could say that part of the strategy for causing fear is to try to stop the yields from going upwards, if you think about it. So it would not surprise me if there's more being announced next week or even this weekend about tariffs and scary tariffs to kind of drive markets downwards. That would not surprise me at all. But overall, we know that right now, Bitcoin's kind of decoupled away. Despite markets being weak, actually several days this week has been weak, Bitcoin has not been. Bitcoin has been going upwards. In fact, right now you can see this is a V-shaped recovery. We're almost back to 110 already. We may be right back to 111 by the end of today. So if Bitcoin decoupled, why did it go down? Right. Well, there's other reasons at play. Number one, there is a big Bitcoins and Ethereum options expiration today. And whenever we have that, there are times where the whales or the market makers try to cause people to lose money. There's this concept called max pain, where both the longs and shorts basically lose, right? And that max pain price for Bitcoin is at 104. And Ethereum is at 2450. We were still very far off, but Ethereum was very close. So it seemed like maybe something to that. Some of the market makers or whales were trying to drive Bitcoin and Ethereum down to that max pain price. They tried very hard this morning. Didn't work, but still, I think this is a big reason why. And another reason why is this: clearing out the liquidity, clearing out the leverage, right? Whenever you have too many people that are way too long, right? These guys tend to just clear it out. So you could obviously see all the longs got wiped out over here, right? Then it's just a matter of time we go back up and then we wipe out the shorts on top. Looks like, the next leg will probably bring us to 115 level right up here after all this is gone through, right? But that always happens. We tend to have these like wipeout moments because these guys recognize and they can see in the order books that there's just way too much longs and they need to get rid of them. That happens all the time. Good thing last night I set stop losses on all my positions. I kind of had a feeling that maybe something like this could happen, and I'm very happy that I did so. Otherwise, it would have been really bad this morning. Hopefully you guys did too. Anytime you play with leverage, you gotta set those stop losses, right? I warned you guys. In an up market, everyone looks like a genius throwing all their longs, right? But then you have these moments where they get reset or there's choppiness and things reset and then you look really bad or you lose it all if you're too greedy. So you got to be careful. So I think these are two reasons why, actually. Because that options expiration and because of just clearing out leverage, I think these are two reasons why we went down a little bit. But again, to put things in perspective, we're at 109 right now, okay? This was a mark that we were cheering for the entire year until we just broke it like last week, right? So, yeah, we came down a little bit, but we're definitely not down and out. And with the macro conditions getting worse, more and more people are being driven to Bitcoin. Yesterday, we had a massive near $1 billion of inflow, and almost all of that was into BlackRock's ETF. People are not paying enough attention to BlackRock. Over the last month or so, they have been inflowing like madness, even when others were outflowing. Look at all the red. Do you see any red on the left column? No. Even on days when there were sell-offs and outflows, not for BlackRock, they continue to load up in a big way. That tells you something. They are preparing. They're buying no matter what, because they're preparing for the future. And that is why so many others are doing so as well. Like I said in yesterday's video, it seems like every single day you hear about some new company embracing Bitcoin or adopting the Bitcoin strategy, right? Here's another one. H100 Group becomes Sweden's first publicly listed Bitcoin treasury firm, even though they only bought 4.4 Bitcoin, which is a small amount versus others. Still, it's a start. Metaplanet also started very same way with low purchases, and now they have become Japan's most traded and hottest stock, and they hold more than $500 million worth of Bitcoin, and they continue to move upward. So you got to start somewhere. But then once you get that momentum, once you get the money to start flowing, then options open up and you can go even harder in, basically. So yeah, Metaplanet has become enormous now, and they continue to follow strategy's footsteps and just keep on buying more and more and more and more and more and more. Yeah, so that's what's happening. And obviously there are other retailers that and institutions that are following, right? But predominantly this cycle, this rally, this bull run has been led by institutions. And I've been telling you guys that. I mean, it's obvious when BlackRock is buying so much, and even Strategy is buying so much, and others. You know, you gotta keep some for yourself. These guys are buying up the entire supply as quickly as they can because they're playing catch up. Long-term holders are benefiting. Short-term holders are also benefiting. But don't give up just because we are in six-figure territory. Right? We are going to go a lot higher. These guys are not just buying because it's top. They're actually buying because they feel like the top is nowhere in sight, that we're actually still towards the bottom. That's why they're buying so much. So make sure you keep some for yourself. It's never too late to DCA into Bitcoin. Standard Chartered even says, like yesterday, I think yesterday I covered the prediction about Bitcoin going to 600,000 by the end of this cycle because of what's happening with the bond market and so forth. That's what one trader thinks. Now Standard Chartered is making a prediction that's not too far off, saying that now sovereign funds are buying Bitcoin via either MicroStrategy or Bitcoin ETFs or Bitcoin itself, and now they have revised their prediction to 500,000 for Bitcoin. Before they said it was about 200, 240, but now they're seeing explosive moves into the sector. So now they're predicting 500,000 will be the top for this cycle. So, man, I would love to see a 5x from here by the end of this year for Bitcoin. There's still so much. There's still so much happening adoption-wise. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts. And here's the thing. Even at 500,000 Bitcoin would still only have half the market cap of gold. As you can see right now, gold has been doing well. Obviously, over the years, it's been slowly climbing up. It's above 3,000 now, you know. But Bitcoin is catching up. really quickly. Obviously, we're broken into new high territory, but we are catching up in a big way. And for Bitcoin to truly catch up to gold, in terms of that market cap, it needs to be above $1 million each. So even if Bitcoin went to 500,000 by the end of this cycle, that's only half the market cap of gold. So think about that. Think about how much more, I guess, room there is to grow for Bitcoin. And that's not going to be, Bitcoin's not going to stop there. That's the thing. But next stop, where is it? Again, a lot of people are predicting 120, 130, 140. According to this, it would probably be, 140 to catch up. We'll see. We'll see when that happens. All right. Outside of Bitcoin, just a few other little news. I saw this. Kraken, which is one of the major exchanges in the US, they are going to utilize Solana and roll out tokenized American stocks and ETFs for non-US traders. So a lot of you guys, more than 50% of my audience is overseas. So if you wanted to get into, say, NVIDIA or Tesla or Microsoft, and you weren't able to before, you can now do it through tokenized stocks. This is RWA, right? So this is why RWA is so up and coming, I guess, because there are so many ways to use it, especially in the financial sector. So good for Kraken, good for Solana. I mean, speaking of Solana, they're also partnering with the R3, which is a blockchain firm that also deals with tokenization and RWA. So RWA is huge. Talked about many other chains that are into RWA. And, all these major chains, they're certainly embracing it. So it's good. Good all around. All right. That's pretty much it. Let's see. U.S. market still looking pretty red today. Coinbase down slightly. MicroStrategy down pretty big. Hood is down a little bit. And more importantly, those 10-year, those yields, 10-year and 30-year is down. That's what Trump wants. Judge blocks Trump's administration's mass layoff at many U.S. agencies. So what does that mean? They're going to hire him back? All right, that's it. Let's do some Q&A. All right, just looking at the comments. Nothing really standing out. Clifton asks, RWA will be used to gauge people's credit worthiness, is my theory. What's your take? I don't know. Not really. Not the way we're moving right now. Maybe if all credit is on the blockchain, then yeah. But buying stocks and, Treasury bonds and stuff like that, I don't know how that gauges people's credit worthiness. Just follow the M2 money supply and Pi cycle top indicators. It speaks for itself. Basically, obviously it's not top. M2 money supply, we're starting to follow it again. There's like a 90-day lag. M2 money supply is at all-time high and continues to go higher. So that's definitely going to help something like Bitcoin and basically all investments out there. Is anyone beating OKC? I hope the Knicks do, if they can stop choking. Knicks need to get past the Pacers. Pacers has been surprising. Pacers kind of like OKC has been surprising everyone with how well they've been playing. But again, no one cares about the Pacers, and no one cares about the Thunder either. It would be the least watched finals in history if it's the Pacers versus OKC. It would be a real problem for the NBA, because no one wants to watch that matchup. No one. George, I have 10,500 on those, no link. What do you think to get some link to? Link is a very good project. I really do like Link, so there you go. Someone else asked about Atom. I've been neutral on Atom for a couple years now. Seems like they haven't really fixed or changed anything. Some of the L1s out of Cosmos I like a lot more. But Atom itself, I'm more neutral on now these days. Wispy, you get real. Not a whole lot of people care about the Pacers. Very little people outside Indiana cares about the Pacers. Why does Trump want to down the market when the market is going up? Because he has to worry about borrowing money. That's why. You can't have the treasury rates go higher. That means the ability for borrowing money becomes harder. That means you have to guarantee more interest rates when you borrow money. So Trump actually doesn't want a blooming market at this point. He wants a so-so market, and he wants yield to go down. But the problem, the yield is not going down because of the credit cut and the trade, the trade wars. It's been driving the yield upwards. He's kind of really stuck between a rock and a hard place right now. All the money that he's trying to save, with Doge and everything is nothing compared to how much interest we pay on the bonds and how much more interest we'll pay on newly issued bonds if these yields do not go down. My chat doesn't say otherwise, Wispy. You're the only person in here that says a lot of people watches the Pacers. First of all, most people don't even watch the NBA. And second of all, the people that do watch the NBA, I've been watching the NBA for like 30 years. I know no one cares about the Pacers. Zero. After Reggie Miller left and against the Bulls, that series, after that, literally no one outside of Indiana cares about the Pacers. Same thing with Oklahoma. All these small city teams. Yeah, it is what it is. Can you look at ZBCN? That just sounds whack. The Z-Back Network? Never heard of them. Never even seen this before. Decentralized infrastructure network for seamless flow of real-world value. So they're in the RWA. It's a weird name, Zbeck. It's like someone's last name or something. Is helping create a future where money and value moves more freely, giving individuals, business investors, and teams faster and easier access to funds. All right, so real-time payroll and cross-border remittance. Spend your money or crypto anytime, anywhere. And then so basically, they have a card which allows you to spend your crypto, and they say they allow you to basically send money with their payments. It's not mind-blowing, not something completely new. It's on Solana, which is good. It's only been out for a year. They're nearing their all-time high, so that's good for them. That's actually a surprise because most alts are not near all-time high, so I guess that's good for them. Most of the tokens have been unlocked already, but they're not on any major exchange yet. I'll say it's decent. Decent. In 2013, the Pacers with Paul George were popular. Not really. Not really. Paul George is extremely overrated. And he's over the hill now. Now there's talks about how he's going to be traded to the Lakers for Austin Reeves. I don't even think that's a good trade. I don't know why people think Paul George at this stage is a good player anymore. He gets injured all the time. He did nothing on the Clippers. Other than just choke with Leonard. And I don't even know what team he's on now, 76ers or something. He's done nothing. I'd much rather keep Austin Reeves than get Paul George at this point. Jason asks, can you look at Vector Smart Chain? It's L1 with non-variable gas fees. It's very, very, very low cap. Something that's 10 million with only 7,000 holders, it's a little bit too early, man. Even though they've been out for a year, they basically have no traction. And you being the top commenter here, you're just trying too hard to shill it now. Okay, at least you admit you're the co-founder. Well, good for you. At some point, I'll probably look at it if it gets more traction. But right now, it's just too early. Robbie, why are all the cycle top predictions aiming 2025? Cycle lasts until 2028, right? No. Where did you get 2028 from? The top is supposed to be 2025, man. I have no idea how you got 2028. Yeah, halving cycles. The top is 1 year after the halving year, which was last year. So that's this year. Although, just because we've been following a 4-year cycle doesn't mean that it's always going to be the case. Doesn't mean that after this year we just fall into crypto winter. It could just mean that we just keep on going forward. There is no more tops or bottoms anymore. Basically, there's just continuation. Pacers versus OKC would be the worst thing for NBA. The ratings would be so horrible. Sponsors would not be there. Fans would not be watching. What the NBA wants and what every league wants is big market teams to win and play. That's the best case scenario. Not just for an NBA, for an NFL, NHL, any NBL, any sports teams. They want the major markets to win because that's where you have the most fans. $2028 will be the deepest of the bear, guaranteed. That doesn't even make any sense. 2028 is the next halving year. If you want to say the deepest bear year is coming up, you would argue maybe it's in 2026 or 2027. You're not going to say it's 2028 because that's the halving year. After the halving year, after the halving is when Bitcoin starts going up in a big way. Look at that. We're right back up to 110. So where's the dip? Last night, I was going to post it, but I don't know if you guys noticed. Last night, the memes went crazy. I mean, like, Pepe just, like, did like this, and Whiff and others. They all, like, shot up yesterday like crazy. But then this morning kind of went back down. I made a good amount on my longs. I had a Pepe long open. I just left it there. And I was up like 80% at one point. I guess IKEA furniture is going to get 50% more expensive after June. I don't know what other products we actually import from Europe. I'm sure there are a lot of stuff, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head besides IKEA furniture. Cars? Yeah, I guess. That means my Ferraris will go up by 50%. Luxury cars will get more expensive. Jimmy, India did not sign a big deal. India signed a big deal with the UK, not with the US. 40 countries dropped their tariffs. That doesn't mean anything. A lot of them were at zero to begin with. That's not creating a deal. No, Jimmy. And India did not sign a big deal with the US. The only country that did was the UK. And it was actually a horrible deal for the UK. It was a very one-sided deal. I don't even know why they agreed, but they did. Robert, the Fed could lower rates and buy their own bonds. It was done before. Yeah, the thing is, how do you buy your own bonds, Robert? You have to issue money. And that's something that they don't want. And the Fed could lower the rate, but they're not. There's no reason why they would when inflation is going upwards. You got to realize why the Fed does what they do. They only lower rates when inflation is coming down. They don't lower rates when inflation is going up. And tariffs are going to cause prices to go upwards, which means inflation readings are going to go upwards. They're not going to cut. When you cut, it actually raises inflation because that means more people are willing to borrow and spend. So that's why. The US, if the US can't sell a lot of bonds, yes, what they're going to end up doing is buy their own. And what happens when you do that? That causes inflation to go up even more because you have to print more money to buy your own bonds to keep the rates up. Otherwise, or keep rates down, I should say. Otherwise, the rates for US bonds would skyrocket. Do you know how bad it is to have these auctions and then no one shows up and no one buys? Then the rates, the yields on these skyrocket, and that makes it even worse. It's like a, what do you call it? It becomes a vicious cycle. That's the worst thing, and they did not want that to happen. But it's good for Bitcoin. That's the thing. I think that's the primary reason why Bitcoin has been going up recently, because a lot of people recognize the scariness with the bond market and they're like, yeah, I'm just going to sell my bonds or sell off my dollars and go buy Bitcoin, buy a store of value. Buy bonds with tariff income. Sure, if there was an excess, but there isn't. You know, it's like saying you have $100,000 worth of credit card debt and, you know, you go pay off that debt by having garage sales. You're not going to make enough to cover that, at least not right now. Maybe if a lot of trade deals happen and the US starts making trillions off of these trade deals every year, then we could start putting down our deficit, which is over $36 trillion now. If we could start decreasing that, then we could start paying less interest. We wouldn't have to borrow as much anymore. We wouldn't have to issue so much bonds, and we don't have to print that much more. But right now, with the measly billions that we're collecting, it doesn't make a dent into the trillions that we owe. It's not even close. KJM, I did use my stop loss last night. I'm very glad I did. In a lot of cases, stop losses keeps forcing you to lose money because you get these little dips or, you know, little volatility and it just stop losses you out. But yesterday was a good idea. And core rate, is that how you say it? I 100% agree with you. There should have been more auditing for all the departments, not just a few selective ones. But it seems like that's coming to an end because Elon is stepping away. So if he steps away, I don't know who's going to take over. No one. Elon recognized he needs to concentrate on Tesla now. He's neglected it for a very long time. Tesla is not doing that well. They need to get back on track. Man, we're back to 2007 level. Lucid vein, no. Tesla's not doing that well. The auto taxes in Austin, if you read about it, they're going to do it with Model Ys with a new unsupervised FSD version, and they're going to do very limited. I think they're only going to have 10 of them rolling out, and then he said he's going to expand upon that if it works. But if there's any kind of accident or anything, that's going to set it back. There's nowhere near deploying mass amount of robo-taxis. I have a suspicion that a new Model Y, which is supposed to be a big upgrade from the old Model Y, I have a suspicion that the sales numbers for it is not going to be that good. If the sales number comes out for the new Model Y being sour or underperforming, they're going to have a big problem. Because Cybertrucks are certainly not selling right now. Model 3s are still fine, but the biggest market is the Model Y. And there's so much competition, and people don't really... There's the EV saturation, and because of all the political stuff that Elon got himself into, caused a lot of people to get away from Tesla. Model Y sales for remaining of this year comes out to be weak. That's going to be really bad for Tesla. But if it comes in very strong, then it's awesome. But robo-taxis are not going to be a factor at all until probably sometime next year if they can mass deploy it. Mustafa says, you're right in so many things except Tesla and ETH. Well, we'll agree to disagree there. Although I still love my Cybertruck. I love it. It's just most people do not. Tesla's really having a really hard time selling Cybertrucks. They're giving out incentives left and right. My best friend yesterday just got an email saying you could go borrow a Cybertruck for 2 days for free. 48-hour test drive. You know, you drive by any Tesla like dealership, there's like a a million Cybertrucks out front. Like they are just not selling them. Will ADA reach $3 again? I think so. I think so. I mean, they were above $1 something, you know, earlier this year, back in January. Can they do, you know, 2x, 3x? Yes. Yes, I think so. Have you noticed GameStop stock going up? Pokemon is helping. Pokemon is getting really hot again. Okay. My kids were into Pokemon before they got out of it. Now they're starting to get back into it. Pokemon boxes are impossible to get. And scalpers are buying everything up and reselling them. So I've been trying to hunt them down. But Pokemon is very hot again. So yeah, so I can see how that's helping GameStop. What's going to help them more is that they start freaking buying Bitcoin. They raised all this money to buy Bitcoin and they haven't bought yet. I don't know what's holding them back. JG, just calm it down, all right? You don't have to overcompensate. You know, I feel like truck guys like you, not to pick on you, but you were just so adamant about it. It's like you look so, you know, what do you call it? Insecure by saying that? Sure, of course, there's things that Cybertrucks suck at. But there's things that it does well too. It's like the Bitcoiners getting insecure about ETH. The Bitcoin maxis like trying to shit on ETH. There's no reason to. If you know you're the best, which Bitcoin is, there's no reason to be threatened by ETH. I always found that to be funny. In the previous cycles, you have all these big Bitcoiners, even Saylor did, started talking all this shit about ETH. I'm like, well, you guys actually make yourself look more insecure by doing that. The ETH doesn't compete with Bitcoin. So why do you have to be so adamant about it? What happened to the Fort Knox gold audit? Yeah, I'd like to know. What happened to the Epstein list supposedly being released? I'd like to know about that too. There are a lot of things that are supposed to be released and you don't hear about it. Yeah, people have just forgotten about it. Maybe Fort Knox was audited and it turns out all the gold wasn't there, but they can't release that. They can't possibly say that, oh, there's no gold there. That would cause really a big uproar if that happened. Yeah. Oh yeah, and the JFK files. I mean, like, just a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff that will never be released fully because our government probably had a hand in it and they can't admit it. So, all right, guys. I think that's a wrap. Overall, this big dip is turning out to be a nothing burger. Yes, we're still down, but hey, we're still above our previous high that we formed just a week ago. So nothing to be panicking about. There's several reasons why we went down, but we'll get through it like always, right? And why it's a good time to buy. It's always a good time to buy. Just make sure you stay strong, DCA, and HODL. That's it. That's the winning strategy. All right, smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys on Monday. I'll have a Sunday walk video. I may have a special video for you guys. I'm going to try something new. I was going to do a ChatGPT video. I forgot to do it. I may do that tomorrow or do something else new for you guys that I think you guys will enjoy. All right. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
What do you think about Ripple?
Well, I mean, I think it's too centralized, but I definitely want to meet Chris Larson.